right, welcome to the show. It's Ringside Report MMA tonight on the show. What's next for Conor McGregor? Is he going to fight again in the UFC? Is he going to fight Dustin Poirier? What's next for Conor? What's next for Dustin? What's next for the UFC Lightweight Championship? Is Khabib really done? And Jake Paul versus Ben Askren, is that really happening? Ringside Report MMA starts right now. Yeah. What's up?
Dave. Next to you, I swear to God, today I would choke you to death.
Yeah.
It would be one of those.
Bring it. When's the last time you rolled? I'm not scared.
Doesn't matter. When's the last time you've been choked out and tapped? I'll do it. If people
Choked
don't realize,
out,
because Dave...
Tapped.
Yeah, well, let me get to you. You'll see how fast you'll choke out. You'll be flapping more than Conor was with Khabib. But I'm going to tell you something. Dave is pissed tonight. And you know, when Dave gets pissed, the show gets exciting. And you know what? Just to let you know, Fred's not here tonight. And Fred has COVID. He'll be okay. I think he'll recover. And he'll be back in about 14 days, I believe.
Fred doesn't have COVID.
What does he have, Dave?
First of all, he doesn't have COVID. I don't know. He's just sick. I don't think he has COVID.
Dude,
Second of all, yeah, I'm pissed because we need Fred as a buffer, because when it's just you and me trying to work out your technical glitches before the show, trying to work out your nonsense that you put me through.
Man.
If people only knew everything that AJ puts me through on a week in, week out basis, you'd be on Team Dave 100%. Unbelievable, the nonsense that you're putting me through. Nonsense.
Listen,
nonsense.
You're lucky, you little mofo. You're lucky, you little mofo.
You're
I'm
lucky.
going to tell you something.
You're lucky.
You know what? You're lucky, man.
I mean, you're monkey-ass famous. You're lucky.
But you're more famous than me, Dave. And until we really become famous to the point where I'm driving a Lamb, not that, you know what? Today I was on actually I sent information to your dad. I was yapping with your dad today.
Oh God.
And
poor guy.
Yeah, I was. What are you talking about? I was giving accolades about you. I was saying like Dave Simon is probably the best journalist in Canada. You know, we listen to other shows and we're like, man, you know what?
I'm not a journalist.
Dave, well, what are you, a freaking pole dancer? You're a journalist, man.
I'm a commentator. I don't do journalism.
Yeah, a sports commentator. Which goes along the lines of journalism.
No.
You've asked questions to fighters. The last time I checked, you weren't dancing in a bikini on a pole. So to me, you're a sports journalist.
You'd like that. We'll get to the Manscaped commercial later. Take it easy.
Listen, anyways, are you off your bad mood, you little bastard?
No.
Are you okay?
No.
If people ever see Dave flip out, it's the funniest thing ever. I laugh because, you know what?
We'll deal with you on the next watch-along. I'm not going to deal with you tonight. On the next watch-along, the watch-alongs is when we hash out our differences and the beefs come out. Don't worry. Next time Fred is on the show, we'll deal with you, AJ. I don't want to deal with you now.
What are you talking about?
I don't want to deal with you now on the show. And you know why I'm not dealing with you now on the show, AJ? You're well aware why. I'm not talking about why I'm pissed off at you now on the show. But it will be revealed in time, and people will find out why AJ's pissing me off and wasting my time 24/7.
Dave. I'm telling you, man.
Nonsense.
Listen, anyways.
Spamming me nonstop.
What are you talking about, spam? I was telling you to put that stuff up because people want to see it. They want to see what's going on in the world of MMA.
Ben Askren.
Did you put it up? Did
Jake
you put
Paul,
it on your desktop?
Megan Anderson, all sorts of nonsense you're sending me.
Well, that was
Beavis
pretty
and
bad,
Butthead.
actually, to be honest.
All sorts of weird stuff you send me. How to brush your teeth with the opposite hand. You sent me that YouTube video this morning.
Well, that
all sorts of nonsense
you
you
should
send
be thanking me for that.
All
Listen,
sorts
you should
of
be thanking
nonsense.
me for that stuff.
Why?
That's
RCMP, visit reporter at home for publishing story about Justin Trudeau. Like all sorts of nonsense you sent me I have no interest in looking at. Nonsense. Spam.
Now I know why your other show went downhill.
What are you talking about?
Let me tell you something. First of all, brushing your teeth.
You don't know why anything went
important.
anything. You don't know how anything went, and you do know why that show got kicked off. It's because the guy's boss told him he wasn't allowed to do the show anymore. That's why.
Or maybe Dave flipped out on air and like he went wild and he's not listening to the facts. But anyways, the facts is very simple. Yeah.
Mr. QAnon is trying to tell me about the facts. Hey there, QAnon AJ. He's trying to tell me about the facts. Let's talk about Conor McGregor. I don't want to talk about you and your facts.
That's what I was going to say about the facts. Conor. And the facts were this. We were all wrong. That's the facts. Every one of us.
Big surprise with you.
Freddie and Dave. No. First of all, I was kicking your ass and Fred's ass in that card. So if anybody made some money with the Chandler fight, it's because of me. It wasn't because of Dave Simon or Fred that you lost money. But if you listen to AJ, you actually made money. So whatever Dave says tonight, it's shenanigans bullshit. AJ won. And you know what? The Conor, unlike very few that went against Conor, I mean, listen, I'm just going to tell you off the bat. I don't know if you know this, but there was this guy. I'm not going to say the betting site. It wasn't with bet99.com. But this guy named William Hill, Dave. This guy bet $200,000.
It's not a guy. It's not a guy. It's a betting site, you goofball.
No, the guy's name.
William Hill is a betting site. No, they bet on William Hill betting site. Yeah.
No. They bet on the Bailey's. They were in Vegas, man. It was a Bailey's Vegas site. But I'm just saying the Twitter handle was William Hill.
Nah, man.
Listen, who gives a shit? Listen to this. So
I mean, people who like facts.
People don't know about it.
William Hill is a betting site.
He bet $200,000. Anyways, you little fuck. I'm gonna tell you something.
Who's right about it?
You know what? I'm gonna take an Uber right now. Come down there, and I'm gonna beat the crap out of you like you deserve to be beaten.
Take an Uber after curfew. See what happens.
You're gonna be crying to your mom. But I'm gonna tell you something. $200,000 bet. Okay.
Come get me, old man.
200,000.
Come get me, old man. Can you even walk up the stairs?
Listen, you Justin Bieber, man. Wannabe. Listen to me here. $200,000. People want to hear this shit, Dave. Let me finish, man. Let me finish.
I haven't said
$200,000 wager. First of all, who the hell has $200,000 to bet? That is impressive to begin with.
Get to your point.
This guy put it on a plus 270 bet on Dustin Poirier to win before the second round. The guy collected over 740,000 bananas. Yeah. Now that's an impressive bet. The worst bet is that on another website you had Conor going. I don't know if you saw that. He was really boosting like that $1 bet. Bet $1 and you're going to win $258 because I'm going to knock out this guy in the first round. So a lot of people put down $1 on this site for Conor to knock out Dustin in the first round, which in some ways it almost came through. Almost came through, but obviously history showed, or, the story unraveled that it didn't. But go ahead, Dave. What did you think about that fight?
The Conor fight? What did I think?
No, the Justin Bieber versus Tom Cruise fight.
I don't know. Conversing with you tonight is like really tough. I don't know. I love you, but I'm gonna kick your ass next time I see you. I'm just saying. You're threatening me. No. I'm threatening you right back.
You know what?
Man.
You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna tell you what, Dave. I'm gonna remember this. I'm gonna actually watch this video again before I meet you, so I can get pumped up again and then come out like a lion.
Yeah.
Or a monkey, as you can see on my
shirt.
I'm
real worried.
But listen,
I'm real worried. You can tell I'm worried.
You should be.
Yeah.
You should be, man.
Yeah, I'm scared. I'm real scared, AJ. So, yeah, I mean, look, Conor looked good in a fight up until he lost. Those leg kicks were bad. Those kicks to the calf, not good. And he didn't address it, and he paid the price. We thought it would take a little bit longer for them to take effect. They took effect pretty quick. Second round, Conor had no legs behind him. Dustin landed his shots, and the rest is history, right? He was done. And look, what surprised me was after the fight, Conor's like, oh, the calf kick, I haven't really felt that technique before. I wasn't really aware of it. And I was like, oh, seems like a very popular technique in kind of MMA these days. I was surprised that Conor hadn't felt the calf kick before. I feel like it's one of those things that if you're an MMA fighter, you're definitely trying and you're using, and you're trying to get your training partners to do, especially if you're fighting a guy like Dustin Poirier. He's probably going to do that to you. I was surprised that Conor was a little bit caught off guard by that calf kick. Other than that, he looked all right in the fight. I'm seeing that for a potential trilogy fight, he is a favorite going into it. So, look, the money is there. Dustin Poirier wants to fight Conor McGregor again. You want to hear what Dustin wants to do? Let's hear from Dustin. This is Dustin Poirier on what he wants to do next. And I brought quotes, AJ, because I knew that you would dispute me, so I had facts behind me so that when you argue, like, no, Khabib's not retired, I'll play the clip of Dana White saying that he is, and maybe you can be satisfied with that. So here's Dustin Poirier talking about what's next.
I mean, a rematch with Conor interests me. Always wanted to whip Nate Diaz's ass. That interests me. In fighting, that's about, I mean, I'm sure something will make sense, but just right now, I don't know. You know, me and Conor are 1-1. Nate Diaz got away and likes to talk a lot of shit online. But I just got to go back home and we'll see.
So there it is. Conor or Nate. So he was asked about the Michael Chandler fight because after the pay-per-view, everybody's like, oh, well, Michael Chandler looked really good in the co-main event. We have a vacant lightweight champion. Dustin looks good in the main event. So they fight each other, right? Wrong?
No, it does not.
Wrong.
Respect to Chandler. Great win over a guy. But to come in and beat a guy I just beat and get a title shot, dude, I've been in, what is this, 27, 28 fights in the UFC, trying to, you know, everything, fighting the toughest of the toughest guys to get my hands on gold. You know, he should fight Charles Oliveira or something. Let Chandler and Charles Oliveira go at it. That doesn't really interest me at this point. I'm going to sell hot sauce if that's the case.
So there it is. Let Chandler and Oliveira go at it. I mean, I agree with that. That makes a lot of sense to me. Let's hear just one more from Dustin on the trilogy fight, then I'll let you go off it, AJ.
I mean, we're 1-1 for knockouts, right? This is CTE Island. This ain't Fight Island. We'll see. We'll see what I don't know. You know, I can't tell the future. But we're 1-1. We both TKO'd each other. So you probably have to do it again, right?
Dustin wants the Conor fight. He wants Nate Diaz. He wants the money. He doesn't want to fight Michael Chandler. Why fight Michael Chandler? He's a tougher fight. Yeah, it's for the belt, but you're not going to make money fighting Michael Chandler. And it's tougher than Conor or Nate Diaz right now, so I get it. I would want the same thing. You just cashed in the ticket. You beat Conor McGregor. You don't go and fight a guy for less money for the title after that. Why?
Why not? Why not? And first of all, it only makes sense.
Business.
I mean, for sure, like, it is a business, but Poirier is about the belt, and the belt is there. And I really believe that the best fights to put out right now is for that interim belt, or actually not just interim, it's for the belt. I know, but the real belt.
Poirier is for the
Charles
belt.
Olivier.
Poirier is all about the belt. If he's all about the belt, why wouldn't he accept to fight Michael Chandler for the belt? He just said he doesn't want to fight Michael Chandler. Dana White said,
Chandler doesn't. No. Chandler doesn't deserve the fight for the belt at this point with his first fight in the UFC, even though it was unbelievable and beyond impressive, which I called that he was going to win. Just to remind you, Dave, I think the fight for the belt should be who deserves that shot is Charles Oliveira, who's shown that he deserves to be on that spot. And right now, Dustin Poirier deserves to be there. These two guys should be fighting, and the guys that should be behind that should be Chandler against Justin Gaethje. And then you get Conor to fight either Ferguson, or you get Conor to fight Diaz for the trilogy, or you even go as crazy, as nutty as can be, and you get Conor to fight Masvidal for the BMF title. Conor is not in the He's not in the position to be fighting for a belt at this point.
Can I just play?
More fights in his,
let me play
belt.
Dustin Poirier for you again because I don't think you were listening to what Dustin wants to do.
Dustin.
I mean, a rematch with Conor interests me. Always wanted to whip Nate Diaz's ass. That interests me.
And that's it. Nate Diaz, Conor, if it's not that, he's going to go sell hot sauce. He's got other things to do. If you watch the full press conference, he talked about how he doesn't like fighting anymore. He doesn't enjoy it. So if they're not going to show him the money, he's not going to fight. And you can dispute that all you want, but the facts are the facts, and I can't believe that even when confronted with Dustin Poirier's own voice and own decisions, you still dispute the facts. Baffling.
No,
classic agent.
You know why? Because the bottom line is that Dana is going to talk, and Dana is going to do what is right for that division. And that division is you're going to fight for the belt. Right now, Conor is on the side, which is unbelievable to say, but Conor is on the side. So until Conor is able to have more than one fight a year, okay, he's not going anywhere. He needs to fight many times. Right now, he needs to fight. He needs to get 2 more fights under his belt. He needs to rebuild himself. Like George St-Pierre says, he needs to be reborn and look at his faults And you know what? I had a lot of disputes with a lot of shows and some people that were talking about Conor and all this kind of stuff. That Conor lives like the great life and he sleeps in like satin sheets and he's got like tiger skin underwear and his life is perfect and he has. Yeah, you're right. He earned that to get what he has. He fought and busted his face and whatnot to get where he's at. But on another note, they're like, oh, he doesn't have that drive and hunger. You know what? That's bullshit. These are people that really don't understand guys that like to fight. Guys that really like to fight, it's all about the ego. It's all about that thrill. You like to fight. You'll fight for a dime if you have to. That's what real guys like to fight. Fighters. Conor might have everything he has, but he still likes to fight.
Wrong
the problem
again.
is this.
They're professional fighters. They fight for money. And at this point in Dustin Poirier's career, he's had enough fights that he's like, you know what? I'm cool on just fighting. How about you show me the money for doing this? AJ, it's not like that. No, I get it. You like to fight. It's all well and good. These guys are professionals at the highest level. It's not like they just want to fight for the fun of it. And I'm seeing people, how come he doesn't want to fight for the belt? Because the belt doesn't mean shit. The belt is meaningless.
Yeah,
I'll tell you why the belt's meaningless. Okay. 2 reasons. 1, Khabib's the real champion and he's retired. Dustin can win all day. No one will see him as the true #1 lightweight in the world. 2, the belt isn't going to pay you money. I've said it once and I'll say it again for those in the back. Michael Chandler is a tougher fight than Conor or Nate Diaz, and he will pay you a percentage, a tiny percentage of what you would make fighting Conor or Nate Diaz. Why the hell, if you're Dustin Poirier, would you ever want to fight Michael Chandler or Charles Oliveira for a belt that means fuck all and give you no money? Why would you do that? Well, AJ's world, because you want to be the champion for the prestige. I don't fucking know.
So
nonsense.
Khabib
money.
Khabib was
fight business.
No, yeah, exactly. Everything's about money, but the money comes with the title. The money comes with being #1. And if you can do a performance like you did against Conor and continue to fight, and you beat the crap out of Charles Oliveira, and you become #1, Conor will be back, and that's where the money. I'm not lying through my teeth because the bottom line is that Conor and Poirier got 1.6 million pay-per-views.
You're fucking
The money
lying,
comes
bro.
with being #1.
No, it doesn't.
Khabib didn't make money being #1.
Not as much as Conor made.
Let's be honest.
Conor made more fighting Dustin Poirier than Khabib did when Khabib was the champion. Dispute that. Does the money come with being #1? Or does the money come with being a money fight? Bullshit.
Listen, man. Money fights will only come if there's a hype behind it. Right now, Conor doesn't have that hype to be that money fight right now. He's not going to pull out those mind you, he has the 3 top pay-per-views in history. Conor's there. He got it with Poirier. He got 1.6 million pay-per-views. You got over 400,000 pay-per-views internationally. The guy makes money, no doubt about it. But right now,
and he's not #1.
He's not making money. The stocks are going down. The stocks are going down. He's not #1, but he's not going to be able to rebuild that mystique until he wins again. You know what I mean? Even the Pacquiao fight is like now questionable. Everything goes down. His sales in Proper 12 are going down. The thing with Conor is this. Conor needs to get out of this rut. Conor needs to get out of the rut, and it has nothing to do with the comfortable life. It has to do with his mindset, and that's the problem. And the problem with guys other than Khabib, Khabib is a very special fighter. Khabib doesn't give a rat's ass. You know what I'm saying? Nothing can get into this guy's mind. Conor used to get into guys' minds, and then the problem is that Conor got into his own mind now. He is going out, and he's not fighting like Conor because he's worried about himself. That's the problem. It's not the comfortable life. But for him to get back into what he wants to do, fight, like he's saying, I want to fight 2-3 times, it's not going to happen. You know what I mean? It's not going to be that trilogy against Poirier right now. Even whatever Poirier says, Poirier is on the road to getting that belt. That's where he's going. He's going in that direction. Conor has to go towards these other fights. And until Conor wins a couple of fights, and then he can get himself back to title contention, because that's what Conor wants in the end. Conor wants his belt back. But he's got to get into the right mindset. And it's not about just
You're
the
blowing
money.
my mind.
Conor,
You're blowing my mind
listen,
with your
Conor
lack
has
of
enough
logic.
money. He
It's
doesn't
crazy. It's amazing.
Listen, he doesn't need all that money. He's got enough money. He's closer to $1 billion than $1 million. And that's the difference what you don't realize. Conor doesn't need the money. Conor needs to fight now to get that belt.
I'm not
and
talking about
else
Conor. I'm talking about Dustin. He needs the money.
Dustin's the same
He wants
thing,
the money.
Yeah.
Let Oliveira and Michael Chandler go fight for this belt that means fucking nothing. And how about you go and fight Nate Diaz in a much easier fight for some big money? Or if you're Dustin, be a real jackass. Be a real jackass and say, oh, okay, Dana, whatever you say, I'll go fight Michael Chandler for 10% of what Nate and Conor are going to do for their fucking meaningless trilogy fight that's going to sell 2 million pay-per-views. Yeah, that's a smart move from Dustin Poirier. Oh, no, I just beat Conor, but let me fucking drop my place in line, and you can go and give Conor all the money, and I'll just sit back and take a title fight and lose and make $200,000 when I could make $6 million for fighting a guy I already beat or a guy who's half retired. Like AJ, if you were presented with the option of getting beat up by Michael Chandler for $200,000 or fighting Nate Diaz and beating the shit out of him for 5 minutes for, say, $10 million, like, what option would you pick? And if you pick the Chandler option, you'd be a fool.
No, and I got to tell you something. It really depends on what side of the fence you're on. If you ask Michael Chandler the same question, he's going to be like, I don't give a fuck. I want to fight the best fighters in the world, and I want that belt. And then you got guys like what you're saying right now.
He hasn't been through it.
Yeah, he would now.
He hasn't been through the ringer.
But the thing is, listen, I agree with you. I think there's a problem if the money is not – and I see some comments coming in which are absolutely right. I think Acme said it best. John Jones, being the number one, doesn't draw the biggest amount of money as a champion. You know, there's a problem with that. There needs to be a readjustment in the pay-per-view percentage and the payouts to getting people hungry to get to that belt because that's where the money is.
Disagree, because that's not where the money is.
And keep those entertainment fights for like Tito Ortiz versus Chuck Liddell 7. And you know what, George St-Pierre maybe coming out of retirement with Khabib.
We'll remember this. We'll remember this when later in the show we talk about how much you're excited about Jake Paul. Okay, you talk about the celebrity fighting being nonsense. There's not a man I know that's more. There's not a man I know more hyped about Jake Paul, who's the money fight. And you're like, oh, take the fight, take the real money fight, take the title fight, forget about the money, and you're 100% down with this Jake Paul nonsense. So there's that, AJ. Okay, AJ, we got a guest. We got our guest here. No, it's okay. It's okay. We got our guest.
AJ Entertainment.
We're gonna talk to our buddy Justin. Justin from Angry Monkey MMA. He's got the Quebec Martial Arts Association. So a lot of gyms, of course, are closed. Everything's closed here in the province. A lot of martial arts gyms have come together, and they're looking to reopen safely and looking to tell us about that and maybe, you know, get jiu-jitsu legalized again here in the province of Quebec. Justin from the Quebec Martial Arts Association joins us right now. Hey, Justin, how you doing, man?
I'm great,
Justin,
guys. How are you?
What's up, man?
We're good. We're
Tony,
good.
Are you angry?
What?
Are you angry?
I'm a little more angry than usual, for sure, yeah.
Good.
You guys are awesome, by the way. I was listening to you guys just before you brought me in, and you guys are awesome.
Well, Justin, let me ask you this.
Man.
Let me ask you. If you're Dustin Poirier, who do you want to fight next? Conor McGregor for another $10 million payday, or, you know, get $100,000 to fight Michael Chandler and maybe get your ass kicked?
Yeah, McGregor, yeah.
Yeah.
Especially a guy towards the end of his career probably wants to make a few bucks.
Yeah, but wait a sec, Justin. But for me, it's not that I'm not arguing that you got to go with the money. What I think the UFC has to do is they got to up the money for the guys that have the belt, guys that are challenging for the belt. And for me as a fighter, and you have like a slew of like pro fighters under you.
Amateur
you want to
fighters,
see your guys win the belt. Yeah, amateur fighters. But you know what? Some of these guys are going to go pro at some point. And the thing is that wouldn't you want to see these guys get the belt? Because getting to the belt brings you that money. Getting to the belt gives you that prestige. If Conor McGregor didn't win the belt 2 times in 2 different divisions, we wouldn't be talking shit about Conor. You know, if we wouldn't be talking about Masvidal as well with the BMF title. I want to see somebody fight for that title. And that's the problem. I'm saying you got 2 aspects of the game. You've got guys
100%.
that are fighting for glory and guys that are fighting for money. But the truth of the matter is that every fighter was fighting for glory initially. And then the money comes with it when you're able to back it up. And that's what I'm getting at. And Conor, you know what?
I agree with you 100%.
Or you see guys who got to the glory and don't get paid, and you realize getting to that title doesn't mean anything. Ask Demetrius Johnson how being the most, defending UFC champion in the history of the sport did for his bank account. He left the company. He left the company. It wasn't
but
working for him.
But is he?
He's one of the best fighters ever.
Wow, that's what
yes, he is. But financially, he is. It's all about the bank account,
Justin,
AJ.
how you doing, man?
Fight business. Justin.
You guys are amazing. God, I love you guys.
Justin, tell us about the Quebec Martial Arts Association.
And we're missing Fred. We're missing Fred, too, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, so this association was something... He does?
No, he doesn't. Justin,
what are you guys doing to me?
Here's the thing, Justin. On this show, it's a little bit of a free-for-all, and what you have to do to keep your point and get it across is ignore AJ altogether. You just got to ignore him, and everything will be all right.
Justin loves me, man.
Justin knows me. I've known this guy for a while, eh? I've known this guy for a while. AJ's a good guy.
He's a character. Yeah.
He's hard to ignore. He refuses to be ignored.
Yeah.
And,
yeah.
So our association, guys, this is something we put together. It's quite a big project. We've come pretty far. It is me, a friend of yours, Dave Sam Guillet. We have our amateur ref, Dave Morin, my buddy Chris Chabel, and we also have Francis from Coach Barbu Kickboxing. We formed an association to fix a slew of problems, and you guys are in the industry, so you know there's quite a few things to fix. You know, pre-COVID, there was still quite a few things to fix. This whole COVID mess came along, and we got on that too. So we united all the gyms, the federations, everything in the province. And, you know, I think to my knowledge, this is the first time it's been done. You know, so things are looking real good. We have a good army standing behind us. We have good representation. We have people that have affiliated with us. We have all the top gyms, all the big gyms, all the small gyms are all with us. And we have this ultimate plan to, we've already initiated it, to visit the government and say, listen, we are the voice of martial arts and facilities in Quebec, and we have some things that we want to fix. We don't want to clash with you. We want to work with you. We want to collaborate with you. We want to create a nice, healthy, long relationship. And we represent our people, and we want to fix our industry, but we want to work with both sides to ultimately fix a lot of things, which number one would be to reopening our training facilities.
Let's talk about a couple of the issues pre-COVID. You know, obviously a lot of COVID issues that we could talk about, but some of the things pre-COVID that are hurting martial arts gyms and the local martial arts scenes. What are some of the things that we're trying to get fixed?
Well, you know, the obvious ones I think that most people know about is jiu-jitsu. Both of you guys are big jiu-jitsu guys. There's no jiu-jitsu. You cannot do jiu-jitsu. If you do jiu-jitsu, you get arrested, right? Right, Tony? That's the case, right?
Pretty
it's
much,
illegal.
Yep.
Muay Thai, amateur Muay Thai is illegal, and so is amateur MMA. So these are three major things that have to be fixed. It's not number one. Number one is to unite the industry, which we've done a beautiful job of doing. And number two is to reopen the facilities, keep them open, and keep all these beautiful little dojos and clubs that we have. We have well over 1,000 in Quebec that do all the disciplines, and they're dying at a rapid rate. You know, a lot of my friends have thrown in the towel. They slid the key under the door, you know, and that's heartbreaking. These are people that I work with for events and sparring practice with their students, and you name it. You know, we have despite the whole red house, blue house thing in martial arts, you know, we actually do work together quite a bit, and we create good relationships with people, and it's heartbreaking to see their facility and all their hard work go down the drain, and it's because of the situation we're in right now. You know, we do get 65% of our rent subsidized from the government. Most people do. Some people aren't getting this. They're not eligible to get it. But there's still 1/3 of that rent that has to be paid. And then you have the amenities, you have the insurances. You can't give up your insurance in the middle of the pandemic. If there's a fire or something or whatever, water damage, you have to have all this stuff floating. So these dojos and clubs are just forking out cash, thousands of dollars cash every month. And there's nothing coming in, not a damn thing. We can't even do private training right now. For a while, my coaches, you know, the lovely staff I have, I love them so much. They've been doing private training and keeping themselves afloat. And because of the pandemic, I touched none of that money. I gave them 100% of proceeds, so I'll make sure that they would get by and everything. And they were just starting to do good and get by and maintain a little bit of hope. And boom, you know, that was it. It was the cold, hard lockdown and curfews and everything. So it's a real tough time. It really is.
Yeah, it's difficult, and we're seeing a lot of gyms close, unfortunately. And like you said, you got to still pay that rent, and the government's giving some subsidies, but they're not giving 100%. And with no money coming in, it's really tough for a lot of gyms to stay afloat. So what is the plan, and what's the request? Like, how do you open right now safely? How does that work?
Well, that's an excellent question. So our team, they're brilliant. Their work ethic is second to none, and we've been working around the clock for months and months and months now. We brought in lawyers and different consultants and some pretty big names that we can't mention, but hopefully one day we get to drop those names. It's some pretty exciting stuff. But we brought in pros of the pros and the king of the kings, and we really put something sweet together. We created a nonprofit. So there's certain criteria you have to go by, right, to be recognized by the government. So we did the nonprofits. We did all the boring bureaucracy. It was so boring and tedious. We did it, but in the end, we legally and politically positioned ourselves to be seen as a real entity by the government, which is very important in this game because that's what it is. And we also, we have strategies. We came up with our big pitch was our 60-plus page protocol for reopening. Now, this is something that we presented to Dr. Arruda and Isabel Charest on Monday, and we followed up with a pretty heavy media campaign behind it. I know Anthony for sure has seen some of the stuff that we've done. Francis has been live on the French press and stuff, and he's been phenomenal. I've had a few interviews, and I like to think I was phenomenal too, but we did a pretty good job of getting our faces out there and getting the word out. So we initiated and submitted that proposal. It's brilliant. We did research from around the world. A lot of it was based on Quebec's own protocols that they released, and we included that in there too. Now, initially, this is the document it's beautiful. It's as safe as it could be, and we submitted this so we can work with the Ministry of Health and make that a little more perfect and eventually make it official and get our gyms, our dojos, and our clubs opening and get us back to jiu-jitsu and Muay Thai and whatever you're doing, Krav Maga, Capoeira, Sistema, whatever. We want to get back to all this, So
Has the government offered any kind of response? Have they given you a time frame? I mean, obviously, we're still in this weird time. There's a curfew till February 8th or something. It's been bad. Yeah. It's been bad for everybody, but
it's been bad. It's something I want to touch in on. You opened the door nicely for me is mental, emotional, and physical health. And going back to your first question was what has the government responded? Well, this week has been a particularly special week. There's been a lot going on in the news and in the media and stuff. We submitted this thing on Monday, and that's just a few days ago. We haven't heard back from them yet, but I know that some of the people that we reached out to, the CBC, and some of the people that were very happy to cover our story, I know that they drilled the government, sort of asking them a lot of questions, and they got in contact. So I'm very well aware that the government is, they know this thing exists, and they know it's in their lap, and they know that we want answers, and they know that we're pressing, and they know that we're a force, and we're here to work and get these things done. But to answer your question, we haven't heard back from them yet, but we will. That's for sure. We have our strategies, we have our plans. It's flawless, and we're feeling pretty confident about that, and that day will come for sure.
Well, I hope it does. I hope we can get the gyms reopened safely as soon as possible. A lot of our friends in the martial arts community want everybody to be up and running, want the businesses to be going, want the martial arts economy to be back up, and of course we want everybody to be back training in good shape, and like you said, the mental health aspect, very, very important. I've been continuing my jiu-jitsu, clandestine jiu-jitsu. We call it illegal black market jiu-jitsu,
prohibition jiu-jitsu.
Prohibition kind of underground jiu-jitsu, but I've got mats set up in my living room, so I've been doing, and I rolled today, and it feels great. It feels great to do jiu-jitsu, and I can't imagine what my state would be like without any kind of jiu-jitsu for as long as the gyms have been closed. Like, for people that don't have this, it must be hard. Like, for you, AJ, just getting fatter and older by the day, it must be terrible.
Let me tell you, little mofo. I'm going to tell you something. And Justin, I'm going to tell you, little bastard, you're going to be pissed today. And it's a good day today. Listen, no, Justin, it's a good day to talk about mental awareness and whatnot.
Don't do it, AJ.
You
No,
could.
don't go there.
Listen.
Don't go there, AJ. I don't want you
What?
to do it. No. Don't do that.
What?
I'm not doing that today.
Don't do what?
Because they cause
What?
more than they help. No.
Okay.
Don't do it. Move
listen,
on.
I'm going to say one thing. Is that no? Listen, I'm going to say one thing. Is like honestly speaking, like as a guy as myself who's been doing martial arts since I was like a little AJ from the age of 7 when I first started with like judo and karate.
With Helio Gracie.
Like way back in the
him and Helio started together.
Well, technically, when you think about it, like it was in the early. It was. I don't want to say anything. I was in the 80s, so I was in the Karate Kid years. But you know what? I'm going to tell you something. If it wasn't for martial arts to keep me going into my different decades, I can tell you one thing. It's very hard at this point because it's not only about the guys that are practicing martial arts, like Justin's saying. It's about the kids that are there. We've got young kids that have no sports program. They have no discipline program, and martial arts is so important in the lives of all kids, and it gives structure. And it's not only about us. And myself not doing jiu-jitsu in almost a year, which is unheard of. I'm still doing it in my mind. But the thing is that physically, I'm not there. And I can't wait to get back. But it's not only about me. It's about all these kids that are lacking. The most important aspect is not only the literature, literacy in school, but it's also about physical literacy, and that's a big component that's missing. So all these kids are missing that physical literacy, and you know what? We got to get those rolled out, and we got to get these kids back into school, which they are, but it's all a big mess here in Quebec, and get them back into the training centers. And we got fantastic facilities across Quebec here, Justin being one of them, and I know it very well because I trained there many times, and he has an awesome program. But how can it be awesome when it's closed? How can it be awesome for anybody? And it's right. We've got a lot of mental health issues going on right now, physical health issues and whatnot. We need to get back on track. And you know what? The government has to really start pushing the vaccine. We're only at 2% of vaccines that's been pumped out in Canada, which is absolutely ridiculous at this point. We're ranked 21st in the world as vaccine givers, which is absolutely disgusting. We got to get up to 50 to 70% of the Canadians to be vaccinated so we can get a lot of this shit back to where we left off. And it's almost going into 2 years now. This is not a joke. This is serious. I mean, this is almost something that we used to watch back in the 80s, Dave, days when you weren't born, about The Walking Dead and all this kind of stuff. And it's true, man. And you know what, Justin, I give you a lot of credit, man.
Pretty sure The Walking Dead was a recent show, AJ. I don't know. It's not that old.
No, man. No, The Walking Dead is based on Night of the Living Dead and and all the rest of that bullshit.
Yeah, it goes back a few decades.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Justin. You know what I'm talking about.
I'm not trying to. Yeah.
Dave's into Justin Bieber and that kind of stuff. He doesn't know, man. He doesn't know this shit.
I love Justin Bieber. Yeah.
But listen,
but.
Go ahead, Justin.
Go ahead. We started cutting each other off.
We got cut off.
That's AJ. You got to ignore AJ. See, Justin, you got to just ignore AJ. Just power through.
You got to power through. Yeah. Well, Tony was opening the door on mental health, emotional health, and physical health and all that. Now, this is where it gets a little bit emotional and heartfelt for me. And there's just so many levels this exists on. And you're talking about kids and the damage it does to them. I mean, in the first lockdown, there were several studies that I read about, and I can't quite give you an exact document I read it from, but I did read several studies where teen suicide was at its all-time highest peak in the U.S. And this was in the first lockdown. Kids weren't, getting to play football. Kids weren't getting to see the boys and the girls or whatever the case was, socializing in school, going to gym class, and it was a problem right from the very beginning. Suicide in general is huge throughout. I mean, I've known people. My best friend's sister recently committed suicide related to COVID and things like that. And I know maybe 3 or 4 other cases that are very recent that I'm not going to mention. But it's a very serious thing. People's morale is down in the dumps. They're depressed. They're distraught. It's nothing but uncertainty, and nobody sees an end to this mess. And as humans, we're very social creatures, and we need to talk to people and see people and touch people and hear people laugh and make people laugh. That's a part of what we do. A part of why we feel so damn good when we train is the endorphins and the adrenaline that we release. But that's also because we do it with friends that we make in the gym. And so, Tony, you were saying earlier, it's great to roll on your mats at home, but you'll never simulate or come close to what it's really like to roll with your boys on the mats during a class or sparring or whatever, rolling. And these are all the things we're missing right now, you know. And even like, you know, you talk about my students, like some of my students, like they're really unhappy, and I get it, you know, and I feel it too. You know, I have a lot of people that I've helped over the years, and it's something that keeps me going as a coach. And, you know, and I'll often tell people, I'm going off in a bit of a different direction, but I'll bring it right back. I'll often tell people that as a gym owner, it's a business of passion. You do it because you love it, and you want to help people, and you help a lot of people. And this is where you get a lot of people that need, you know, to come to you for help. And it's definitely not a business of profit. So, you know, you sort of accept it for what it is to really be a part of that community and help people. And, you know, I've had a lot of people that come through my life as a gym owner and as a coach who were beaten by their husbands and got their life back together under me and my programs and doing everything like that. People that were living on the streets and got their shit together. People that were, you know, suffered alcoholisms and all kinds of opioid use and even heroin. I met them all, and I did my part to put their lives back on track, you know, above and beyond. And I'm really, really proud of that. And that just tears my soul apart that I can't do that right now. It really hurts me. You know, and because those people are still out there. Those people are still out there, and they don't have that outlet. They don't have those crutches that they need. Yep. You know, so that's one thing that really is really heartbreaking for me right now. And you know, another thing is I have a bunch of kids. You know, I have this one kid, this Irish kid from Villamard, who's been with me since he was 13 years old. The kid is destined to be a champion. I have two more like him. I have a kid from Guatemala, and I have a kid from Sri Lanka. These guys are destined to be great. They've been with me since they were a young age, you know, you know, it's funny because my 18-year-old, who's a phenom, national K1 champion, Liam Harrison came over. I would love to help you get Liam Harrison on your show. Liam Harrison's a great talker, and he's an 8-time world champion in Muay Thai. Liam came over last year and did some training with him, and he looked him straight in the eyes, and he says in his British accent, he goes, "How many pro fights do you have?" The kid said, "None." And his jaw dropped, you know? So my kid, my champion, all three of them are not training right now. That's something too that's really hard for me to swallow. I've invested so much time and energy and love. These guys are like my kids, you know? And I'm very responsible for how far they go in life in terms of fighting. And my hands have been cut off, you know? You know, I have my heavyweight champion, Wally from Guatemala. Double champion here. He's the wrecking machine here in Montreal. He's the Fight Quest K1 champion. He's a phenomenon, and I have my and he's also the Infusion and K1 champion, Infusion and Fight Quest. And he's sitting around. He can't train. He can't come into my gym and train. You know what he's doing right now? He just booked a ticket to go to Guatemala to live on his grandmother's farm, and he's going to train like Rocky. Food's very hard to get. So he's already prepaid chickens, and he's got a lot of kids smart, and he's tough. He's tougher than you and I will ever know. He's just one of the toughest you'll ever see. And he's got it all planned out. He's got his chickens that are laying eggs, and he'd rather be there in Guatemala slaughtering chickens and eating eggs and training than he would to be sticking around Quebec and waiting for this thing to unfold. So, you know, and then I have my Sri Lankan kid who's an absolute violent wrecking machine, and he's ready to go pro. This kid fought 3 weekends in a row. Like, I've got some serious talent that are all capable of the highest levels, and they can't fight, you know. But it goes much deeper than that, alcoholism, drug use is through the roof. You know, for example, after the first, I know this is a long-winded rant, but after the first lockdown that went from March to June, a business that me and my wife worked so hard to develop, you know, and you guys have been around the gym business. You know what gym owners go through, and they work 15, 16-hour days. They work 6-7 days a week. Myself, I operated my gym for 5 years and didn't take a paycheck. You know, so it's a long haul. It's a brutal game, and you got to really love it and be tough and resilient to last and survive and to build something. And so, you know, here we are in this point where we've succeeded. We've succeeded, and we built this beautiful business and this beautiful community, which is even more valuable than the business to me and the people that own the businesses. And after a 3-month lockdown, after years and years of developing a name for yourself and everything, and the clientele that goes with it, after a lockdown, we open up and we discovered that we lost one third of our clientele. in a in a business that's already very tough. These people got depressed. These people gained weight and became, self-conscious, whatever. They start smoking weed like you wouldn't believe. Some of them start drinking pretty heavy. So it's a dark place. So when we open up again after the second lockdown, it's going to be ugly. It's going to be like starting a business from zero. It's going to be starting all over again. We're going to have, as our association has to implement programs and things that we need to do in order to get people prepared to come back to train. That's something we have to address with the government as well. People are afraid to go outside. They're going to be afraid to come back to the gym. And there's just many problems that have occurred that are keeping people out of the gyms. Even if the gyms are open now, we're not going to see everybody right away.
Well, that's it. I think you touched on something really important, is that fear, because even when the gyms were reopened, right, after the first kind of lockdown, they reopened the gyms, but you still couldn't come within 6 feet of people, right? You still couldn't spar. You still couldn't really wrestle or do jiu-jitsu or anything because you still had to keep your distance. So people had that fear of being indoors with other people, and people will still have that fear of going near strangers and being indoors and being within 6 feet of people. Yeah. That fear is going to be there until this thing goes away and people are vaccinated and we have the kind of rapid tests that, that seems like it should have been rolled out a long time ago. They're available. We're just not using them. These, rapid tests could solve a lot of problems, especially for shows. Like, guys, for the everyday whatever person that likes to do martial arts but isn't competing, it's one thing. But for the guys that you're talking about that are trying to make a life and a career out of this is valuable time that they are losing out on, and they need to compete. They need to have these shows. So the rapid tests, figuring out ways for these guys to train, the professionals to train, should be a priority. But for some reason, the Montreal Canadiens are playing at the goddamn Bell Center tonight, and we can't have martial artists. We can't have martial artists getting into the gym and preparing for a fight. Like, it's absolutely ridiculous. I saw Olivier Aubin-Mercier, who signed to the PFL. He had to fuck off to Puerto Rico to go and train because he can't train him. Guy. Yeah, he's a good guy. He's a fun guy. He's had him on the show. Funny guy.
I've known Olivier since...
Great Quebec athlete, right? Yeah. Professional athlete. Government says, you can't do anything. They're going to take care of the hockey players, but the MMA fighters, whatever. You're on your own. Go to Puerto Rico.
I've known Olivier since he threw his first punch. Lovely kid. I've followed him ever since then. Great point.
It's crazy.
We do need a stage to compete on. That being said, okay, if you look at the other sports that are competing, hockey, high-level athletes, Olympians, and whatever. Now, let it be clear, our association is not trying to change or interfere or say, hey, that's what you have, we want it to, or you shouldn't have that. That's not at all. I, for one, am very happy that these athletes are training because this is what they need to do. Athletes need to train and they need to compete. Us, on our side of the fence, we need to get organized and we need to build ourselves up and we need to get on that same stage because we do have athletes equal to that high-level performance. And we need to get them out there and competing as well. And if you look at our website, we've got some videos on there for some famous people that I've had the privilege to meet. Some of them are Boss Root and Liam and a bunch of other people. And they all say, Boss, and they all say, one of the things they all clearly said was athletes need a stage to compete on. So I'm glad you brought that up. We are also about to, we are prepared and working towards collaborating with the government so we can have these sort of fight nights, competitions, amateur, and keep this dream alive for people. We can't cut martial arts off for a year and a half, no competitions, no training, and expect to have something when we come back. So this is something that we have everything mapped out. We know what we have to address. And we're definitely going to get to that. We've come up with the safest protocols as possible. And that includes reopening the gym. That includes having fight nights and safety elevated around the whole entire industry, So we will get to that. And I feel that we're going to win a lot of these battles and we'll have our fight nights back again. That's for sure.
Well, there you go. Justin Etheridge from Angry Monkey MMA and the Association of Martial Arts of Quebec. You can go to their website, artsmartialqc.ca. That's ARTSMARTIAUX, QC.ca. It's martial arts in French, artsmartialsqc.ca. Go there. You can find out more on the association. You can make a donation as well, and you can see what they're all about. Justin, thank you very much for your work on this. We appreciate it. We want the gyms to go, and we want the martial arts community to be stronger than ever, and I think that this is a step in the right direction. So thank you for doing this, Justin, and thanks for coming on the show, man.
If I can just say one more thing.
Sure.
Thank you so much. Dave, Tony, thanks for having me. You guys are brilliant. I love watching you guys, and I would love to get my partner Chris on here maybe next week. That's something I'll discuss with you guys. This guy is the expert on the COVID research, and he did most of that project, if not all of it. He's an intelligent man, well spoken, and he'd be a great guest for you to discuss a lot of these topics. Number two is I wanna scream loud and clear to the people, our jiu-jitsu practitioners, our Muay Thai, Krav Magas, whatever. Okay, any martial artists out there, when the gyms do open, guys, pack your gym bag and get back to the gyms. Forget the fear, forget all that stuff. Put it behind you. Get back into the gym, get your memberships reactivated, and help do your share of kickstarting the industry. Okay, don't be living in fear for too long. When those gym doors open, get in there, guys. Okay, that's all I got to say, guys. Thank you.
There he is, Justin. From the Quebec Martial Arts Association. AJ, did you want to say something else?
Yeah, you forgot one group of martial artists, which is the most important group because it's the biggest group of all. It's called the Dim Mak Warriors. So you forgot about the Dim Mak guys, Justin. Don't forget those guys.
We got a long list, Tony. We got a long list of martial arts schools and things that we represent, and it's we got a very, 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 very interesting, powerful province when it comes to martial arts. We've got something very beautiful, and I don't think there's any reason why we can't reach the levels of Bangkok and Vegas and New York as sort of a fight capital in this world. And we have big plans coming out of this mess, and that's something that we really want to achieve. Real quickly, I know, Dave, you're trying to get to your next segment, but really quickly, we've already made so much progress. We've worked with federations. We spoke with a lot of promoters, and we got everybody on the same page to work together so we can have more events and have more fighters and things like that. There's just so much to talk about. Hopefully, maybe I'll get another chance to talk with you guys again, and I'll get out of your hair, guys.
We'll talk to you again soon, Justin. There's nobody who practices the death touch in the association, is there? Like, there's no gym out there that's like. Do you have a gym?
About bringing Tony in just for that.
Do you have a gym association that's part of the association where they do the no-touch martial arts, where they like kill you with their vibes? That doesn't exist in Quebec, does it?
With the chi,
I would love.
There is.
I would love to learn that if it's out there for sure.
Yeah, it works, Justin. I'll teach you. I'll teach you. It's a great technique. All right, we'll talk to you again. Thank you, Justin. There he is.
Thanks for having me, guys. There
he is.
Thank you very much. Take care, guys.
There he is, Justin, from the Quebec Martial Arts Association, trying to get gyms back open in the province where we live, here in Canada.
But you didn't get what I said when I said Dim Mak? That's like the no touch. That's like the Chinese
I did get it. That's why I asked him about it. You don't listen, eh?
Okay. No, man, I wasn't sure that you got that. I'm like, why is Dave repeating what I said? I said Dim Mak is talking the no touch. But you know what? As funny as it sounds, I mean, there is practitioners of that here in Montreal, by the way, just so you know.
Can we bring Justin back? Dave, can we bring Justin back? It was a lot easier talking to him. What happened?
Don't mess around with them. One touch and you're dead, man.
It doesn't really work. It doesn't really work. It's nonsense.
No. You ever see those videos? Come on, Dave.
Connor, what's next for Connor? Okay, so Dustin Poirier should fight Connor next. That's what should happen. AJ's disagreeing.
No.
So here's what I would do. I would put Dustin against Connor again because why not? Connor was looking good in that fight up until he lost. I don't think that it's impossible that Connor beats him in a rematch. Do you think that Connor has a chance of beating him in a trilogy fight if they do it right away? I would give Connor a good shot at winning. I don't know if I'd pick him to win, but I don't think it's impossible that he wins a third fight. He didn't look terrible in this one.
Dave, look. In the first round, I mean, we were watching the fight on our watch-along, and like a lot of people, we were like, first round, obviously, Connor won it. It was a 10-9 round. And in the last 2 minutes of the first round, Connor came out, and he was just throwing, man. He was throwing. And he got Justin, and Justin admitted after the post conference, he says that Conor rocked him. And what Conor's biggest mistake was is that he didn't do what Conor generally does. He didn't go for the kill. He wasn't overwhelming him. He had an opportunity to end that fight, and he didn't. And that's what cost him, because you know what? Not to take away from Justin. Justin was a phenomenal fighter. He came in there looking better than he did the first time they fought. There's no doubt about it. Dustin. And the thing is that Conor did really well in that first round. He didn't throw as many strikes as he did the first time they met, or a lot of his other fights on average. I think he had maybe about 30 significant strikes in that first round or something like that. But the thing is that Conor, when you break it down, just like a lot of other people said, he has that wide stance. But that's Conor's stance. He has that karate stance. But when you're using a karate stance, and when I was looking at the fight and I rewatched the fight and I analyzed it, Conor's got that wide stance, that karate stance, and that lead leg. But using that karate, it's open, but he was driving his knee forward. Every time that kick would come to the calf, he was sort of like drive it forward. It's like a real karate defense. Put it in, drive it, and it's like thunder to thunder. You can't do that kind of stuff when you're fighting a guy like Poirier, who is basically using Muay Thai to throw leg kicks. He's soft. He's like a whip, and he got to the outside on that calf, and that didn't work. Why did Conor not change his strategy? Why didn't Conor have that feedback from his corner? Why didn't he have that understanding before that fight?
I think it's because he was chasing. Wrong. He was chasing the knockout. He knocked him out so easily. He knocked him out so easily the first time, and he hurt him and he got him wobbled in this fight. He figured, just keep chasing the knockout. Yeah, the leg kicks might hurt, but I'm going to knock him out before they do any damage. Unfortunately for him, he was wrong. That's really what I think it was. He was chasing that knockout. Look, he was trying to let his hands do the work, and he got caught, man. That's the fight game. Sometimes your strategy doesn't work, and you don't change strategies quick enough, and you get caught, and you lose. That's what happens.
Yeah, but that happens, and the problem with Conor is this. His weak point is that. His weak point is grappling. But at the same time, Dustin, I keep going to Justin.
It wasn't a grappling issue.
Listen, Dustin took him down, and Conor got up. No problem. They got into the clinch, and Conor was doing really well in the clinch and throwing those elbows. So there was I was impressed, because you look at Dustin, he's a high-level black belt in jiu-jitsu, and he couldn't keep him down. So I got to give kudos to Conor. He upped his game. But the problem is that he's got still that one-dimensional style of fighting, and you got to change it up. And sometimes that's what evolves a fighter. Dustin is not the same fighter that he was from 2014. He changes things up. He's gotten a lot better. His striking game, man, was crisp. His kicking game was crisp. And like I said, the first round went to Conor. But if Conor would have continued fighting the way he did, he probably would have won. But Dustin did what he had to do. Execute that kick, take away that lead leg, and that was it. You can't throw punches when you're walking around like a wooden leg pirate, and that's the end of your game. That's it. And Conor, you know what? Not to take away, there's a lot of talk about his training camp, in Ireland. His training camp is great, but he needs to get maybe advice from modern, more aggressive style coaches to give him an insight that maybe he doesn't have. And it showed, you're getting kicked to the calf. Man, you didn't even change your stance. You kept that wide stance. I mean, that this is a 5-round fight. Something was wrong.
It was weird. Strategically, it didn't seem like they were using the best tactics. You say that he had some success in the clinch, but I feel like that was kind of wasted energy in the clinch, because when Dustin has Conor pinned up against the fence, that's one thing, but then Conor reverses it, gets Dustin pinned up against the fence, and instead of disengaging and using the center of the octagon and trying to kind of box and outbox Dustin Poirier, he decided to kind of keep clinching and do those little shoulder strikes and kind of stay in that range. And I don't know if that's the range where Conor wins. I think Conor wins a little further out in the clinch. It's not really where he's going to win that fight against Dustin. I was a little bit surprised that he didn't disengage at certain points during that fight. But hey, man, Dustin Poirier fought a good fight. That low calf kick worked, and there it is. And now Dustin doesn't want to fight for the belt. He wants to fight Conor again or Nate Diaz for some money. That makes sense. Michael Chandler wants to fight for the belt. I say you put Chandler up against Charles Oliveira and have them fight for the belt, because Dana White says Khabib's done. So do that. Chandler Oliveira.
Like I said, I think it should be like, Dustin against Charles. That should be the fight, and I think that is going to be the fight. We can look back at this video and we'll be like, yeah, AJ was right on this. But going back to Conor, the one thing with Conor is that when you look at
we'll have to play
his
the Dustin
career,
Poirier clip again?
No. But we're gonna play this clip again, like in about 6 months from now, when it's gonna, like, even less, that it's gonna happen. That Dustin is going to fight Oliveira for that belt. But going back to Conor, you see, Conor, this is his first time he's ever been TKO'd in his career, which is unbelievable. I mean, he got choked out by Khabib, and he got TKO'd by Poirier, which he knocked out. So it's 1-for-1. There will be a trilogy at some point, but I think that trilogy will only happen when Poirier is holding that belt and Conor is coming to compete against it. That's what I think is going to happen at some point. Conor has to fight other guys in the meantime. But if you look at Conor's career, I mean, you know that he hasn't fought a lot of guys that have been like leg killers like Dustin, man. You never got to see Conor fight Barboza. You never got to see like Conor fight Pettis or Conor fighting RDA. Even though he signed to fight RDA when he won the championship, and that never panned through. So no one can say that Conor cherry picks, because some people were like, Conor cherry picks his fights and whatnot. No, man, he signed to fight RDA.
He fought Aldo
right away.
Aldo's one of the nastiest leg kickers in the history of the game. Didn't take a leg kick from Aldo, but he still went in there to. All right. Well, I'm done with Conor. I'm done with Conor. Let me tell you about Manscaped.
No one's done with Conor. Okay.
I'm done with you.
Cherry pick. Talk about cherry picking. Dave. What are you doing, man?
I'm waiting.
Man.
I'm waiting for you to shut up so I can do it. Are you done?
Sounds like you got balls in your throat. Yeah.
Are you done? Fucking AJ. Go to manscaped.com. Use that promo code Ringside20. All right? Get it together. Not like AJ. AJ doesn't know what he's doing. He's a mess. Don't be a mess like AJ. Go to manscaped.com. Get yourself your the Lawnmower 3.0. It's fantastic. It's a great product. You shave all the way down to the skin. They've got the ball wipes. They got the crop reviver. They got the nice ball deodorant. You want your balls to be smelling fresh and clean. When those gyms reopen and you're back at jiu-jitsu, you want to be smelling good for your training partners. You want to be smelling good for anybody that comes near your balls. Manscaped.com. Use that promo code Ringside20. It's what I use. It's what Freddie uses. AJ's using it too. Manscaped.com, Ringside20 is your promo code for 20% off your order plus free shipping. It's a pretty fantastic deal. Over at Manscaped.com, you help out the Ringside Report Network, and you help yourself out at the same time. Speaking of helping out the Ringside Report Network, AJ's got his new Ringside Report mask. We gave one away on the UFC 257 watch-along. We're going to be doing another big night, big show coming up on Sunday night for the Royal Rumble. Tomorrow night we'll have more details on that. Tomorrow night, Johnny North and I will be previewing Wrestling Uncensored, or previewing the Royal Rumble on Wrestling Uncensored. Tomorrow night, 10 p.m. here on the Ringside Report Network channel. Do not forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and when you subscribe, you click that bell so you get notifications every time that we're on. Johnny and I will be back on tomorrow night. Can't wait to do that show with Johnny so I can get out of this AJ vortex that I'm in.
Listen.
I miss Fred.
Let me say something.
I miss Fred so much.
First. Freddie has COVID. Poor Freddie.
He doesn't.
If he would have wore a mask like this, if he would have wore a mask like this, he would have been perfectly fine. And let me explain something. Let me promote our merchandise. This is the Ringside Report COVID mask that Dave Simon, we were talking earlier, and I'm like, Dave, we have merch. And when I finally got this mask here, I'm like, I can't believe it's like really good quality, and it fits perfectly, nice-sided, awesome. I'm telling you, it's the best mask that I've had since this pandemic hit back in March. I'm like, Dave, I can't believe it. It's not a cheap product. I figured Dave was going to go out and get like Skimpy and all that kind of stuff. I know how Dave is, kind of like our salary. But the thing is that Dave Simon actually got a really, this is
because
an
I cheap
excellent
out on my co-host.
product.
Believe me, I got the cheapest, weakest co-host ever. I mean, the other guys are great. Just this one guy I have, awful.
Listen, wait. No. I'm let me retract on that, because Dave Simon, just to let you know, he was the only guy at Christmas time. How many of your bosses come out and ring your doorbell on Christmas Day at like fucking 8 in the morning while I'm still in my underwear and sleeping?
It was like 10:30. It was like 10:30. It was because I had to get to McDonald's by 11 so I could still get the hash browns. Remember, I had to leave your house quick because I had to hit up McDonald's to get the hash browns because they stopped serving them at 11.
Let me give you some. Let me tell you the good stuff about Dave. So Dave went out of his way. Dave is not cheap at all. This guy here, he's actually come and he keeps giving us gifts all the time and whatnot. And I'm like Christmas came, and the first guy that came was Jewish Santa right there, David Simon.
Yeah.
And he brought me a beautiful Italia Adidas shirt. And Dave is awesome. But when it came to the products, I'm like, maybe Dave got a little skimpy there, and like he went like China made, which this is made in Mexico. No, and that's what I'm trying to get at, Dave. Let me finish, man. I'm telling everybody how such a good product this is, and it really is nice. I've been wearing it like for the last 2 days on the streets of Montreal, and people are like, "Oh, nice, cool." So, Dave, kudos to you, man. And you're not cheap. You can be a prick sometimes, but you're not cheap. Johnny knows that.
Are we done yet? Jake Paul, Ben Askren. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, man, of course. You wanted to talk like all about your money before, because Dave's all about money and entertainment, which Jake Paul is.
I want to see the real fights. I would like to see the two best fighters fight. I wouldn't mind seeing Dustin Poirier fight Michael Chandler to figure out who the best is, or Poirier against Charles Oliveira. Sure, I'm into that. Way more than I'm into Dustin versus Conor. But Dustin doesn't want to fight anybody but Conor or Nate. I'm just giving you the facts as they are. I'm not telling you what I want to see. AJ just gives you his fantasies, and he plays them off as fact. I give you the facts, and that's all I give you. AJ gives you fantasies that he will tell you is a fact, and he will tell you he'll be right about this in the future, and then when he turns out that he's wrong, he'll claim some sort of fix is in, some sort of bullshit, because that's what AJ does. AJ still thinks Donald Trump is going to be the president. He thinks he's going to be the, 18th president of the U.S., whatever. You and your QAnon goddamn conspiracies. Nonsense.
Oh, I'm telling you, kill me, man. But anyways, back to Jake Paul.
Jake Paul, YouTube sensation, will be boxing Ben Askren on April 17th. Ben Askren, former Bellator champion, former UFC fighter. Yes, he got knocked out by Jorge Masvidal with a flying knee in about 5 seconds, but he's a guy that's, Olympic-level wrestler, very good mixed martial artist, and Jake Paul is like a 3-0 boxer, 2-0 maybe, I don't know.
And not, I think, right now.
He's not really a good boxer, but then again, neither is Ben Askren.
Well, but look, I wouldn't say he's not a look. If you look at his training videos and you see the way he's boxed, he's
not good.
Look, he's good for he's good.
He's good for a guy who can't box. He's good for a not professional boxer or not amateur.
You can't put,
he's good for a shitty boxer. For a guy who sucks at boxing, he's pretty good.
Well, I'm not saying for an entertainment star. It's not like you have Tattoo or I forgot who it was, No Neck Ed from 90 Day Fiancé going and box or something. I'm telling you one thing is that, look, Daniel Cormier goes, you know what? Jake Paul might actually have a pretty good chance because his boxing is good. And that's not me that said that. That's Daniel Cormier. He was champion, in the UFC that's saying that. So, look, his boxing is good against not the best boxers. And Ben Askren is not known for his boxing. Does he have a chance? Look, anybody can have a chance, but I don't think he'll have what it takes with 10-ounce gloves to go up against a guy like Ben Askren, who's been fighting MMA for a long time. What I'm surprised is that right now there's talks of Jake Paul looking to fight Nate Diaz. And they're talking about it. They're trying to just close down that contract, and who knows, maybe instead of Ben Askren, it might be Nate Diaz. Now that's a problem. If you want to fight somebody like Nate Diaz, chances are you might end up in the hospital because
they signed a contract. The fight's on.
Did they sign it? With Diaz?
Ben Askren. I saw Ben Askren say like Triller's gonna pay me a lot of money, and like he's seen the dollars. It's Ben Askren, Jake Paul, April 17th.
But what about Nate Diaz? That's what I was just hearing like today. They're talking and they're looking to seal that fight with Jake Paul. I mean, that's what I'm trying to get at.
He's gonna have to survive Ben Askren first.
Look, there's one thing that this guy sells. Whatever you want to say, this guy sells, and he's making more money than a lot of guys like that are fighting in the UFC, which is a shame. It doesn't make sense. This guy was able to put out $50 million that he wanted to fight Conor, and now he's like laughing at Conor and saying, I'll fight you for $10,000 cash. I mean, let's not forget, Conor's boxing is good. It was good enough to go 10 rounds with Mayweather. Let's not forget. So you can't punch the wall with Conor on that. Conor will kill you. MMA or boxing, he will kill you. There's no doubt about it. Other than with the fight of, against Dustin Poirier, this Jake Paul is able to bring out something that sports hasn't seen. And, and I always talk about it, and I remember his first fight that he had against another YouTube star. This guy had over like 2 million YouTube paying customers. He filled out a stadium of 30,000 people. So this Jake Paul is doing what he does, and he's doing it very well for his world. But at the same time, he's coming out with a 3-0 professional record. So you know what? He's getting guys like Ben Askren to sign. He's getting guys like Diaz ready to sign. And you know what? It wouldn't be surprising if you see a guy like Conor coming out at some point. And what I'm trying to say is that the game of fighting has changed in some sense. And if Dana White doesn't put more money into the title belts and give a lot more percentage to pay-per-view for these fighters, being the co-main event and the main event, it's going to be cheapened by shows like this. And it's going to be cheapened by the same guys that were representing the UFC, and even boxing at that point. And this can't be. So there needs to be a pay structure change in the UFC. And money's got to be put on that title belt, just like it was in boxing. Mike Tyson only fought for the belt, and that's where the money was. Muhammad Ali will be fighting for the belt, and that's where the money's at. And the UFC can't lose that. They need to up that, and the title has to be for money.
There he is. AJ has spoken. I started shopping for shoes halfway through your speech.
Let me guess. Yeezys again?
I mean, I'm just kind of like, AJ's just going on and
no,
on.
But don't you see what I... No, but I got to... Listen,
everybody else is tuning out. Everybody's tuning out, AJ.
What?
You're killing the show. You killed the show. That rant killed the show. We got to end it now. You just killed the show.
Oh, you little bastard. Who's up? Angelo Costanigis. He says, what's up, guys? Listen, to everybody out there, man, there's a lot of... Dave, you even answer some of those questions there.
Go to bet99.com and sign up with the promo code Ringside, and they will have a matching bonus up to $600. So you sign up, you deposit some money in there, up to $600, they will match you. Drop $600 in there, you have $1,200. Bet99.com, use that promo code Ringside to get the $600 matching bonus, up to $600 over at bet99.com. Sign up today. Proud sponsor of the Ringside Report Network. We'll give you some winners for the next UFC card. No UFC this weekend. The next one will be Alistair Overeem versus Volkov, right?
Volkanovski. Yeah, Volkov, yeah.
You were going to say Volkanovski. Volkanovski is a 145-pound champion.
Yeah.
It's going to be the Reem versus Volkov on this one. Corey Sandhagen versus Frankie.
That's going to be good.
Edgar. That's fun. Ooh, Clay Guida. Clay Guida versus Michael Johnson on the prelims. Michael Johnson, wow. Clay Guida. That's a fun one.
And that's what I'm trying to say is you got guys like Clay Guida, man, who was like, this guy always performs, and he's been in the fight scene for so long, and you know what? This guy should be paid good money, But I'm glad he is the main event on the preliminary card, which is awesome.
Yep. Comment of the night goes to KJ, who says, shocked AJ is not an anti-vaxxer. I'm a little surprised by that, too. Shout out to the
Well, look-
members of the team. Do not forget to sign up to be a member of the YouTube channel. Patrick C. Hamilton, I see you. Douglas Hepburn, I see you. And everybody else who signed up to become a member, we thank you. We appreciate you. Shout out to everybody watching on the chat. Lauren Cronish, Freddie Garcia. Hopefully you feel better, Freddie, and you'll be back soon. Wobbly Op. What's up, Wobbly? Patrick, Acme Tunes, Habs Fan for Life, KJ, and Andy Burrows out in England, Steve Barrett, Angelo. A lot of people watching tonight. We appreciate you all tuning in. I'll deal with AJ, and we'll be back next week. Unbelievable, AJ. You've outdone yourself tonight.
Cobra Kai.
Truly.
No mercy.
I don't know what that means. All right, thanks, everybody. Go to ringsidereport.net. Follow me at Dave Simon MMA. Don't follow AJ. It's nothing but nonsense. That's it. Goodbye.
Please join in and give your support to Ringside Report Network. We've been providing expert coverage and commentary on both pro wrestling and MMA for over 15 years. Ringside Report started on the radio, added podcasts, and moved to video in 2019. Our hosts are not just fans, but have in-depth knowledge of the subjects. Become a member of our YouTube channel now and become a recurring supporter of our work as we strive to continue to entertain you in these strange times. Pro wrestler Johnny Genesis North joins lifelong wrestling fan and aficionado Dave Simon to host our pro wrestling programming with in-depth coverage of the WWE, AEW, and New Japan Pro Wrestling. Our flagship show, Wrestling Uncensored, is live every Friday right after WWE SmackDown. Here, you get a review of the week that was. You may not agree with our host. In fact, they often don't agree with each other. But you have an opportunity to chime in with your viewpoint in the chat rooms while live or in the comments section of YouTube, Twitch, or Facebook on the replay. Dave and Johnny also headline our coverage of major pro wrestling pay-per-views and breaking news. Dave Simon is joined by experienced jiu-jitsu fighters Fred Garcia and the ever-unpredictable AJ DeLesio, each Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern with Ringside Report MMA. They try and foresee what's next in the octagon and review, argue, and kibitz in a very friendly, irreverent manner. The three guys also team up to accompany you on all the major UFC pay-per-views with entertaining watch-alongs. Go to ringsidereport.net/support to find out more ways to support the channel.